All right, yeah, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another practice round. Eagle. Thank you for being on the channel. Appreciate it so much. We're playing here, Portland Open. We have some history here.
We do have history, yeah.
A little bit, a lot of it. Talk about that later. But this is the Portland Open presented by Latitude 64. Let's jump right into it so people aren't waiting for us on the tee. We can get into some questions and maybe we'll see you shoot like 18 under or something.
Let's do it. That's good.
That was the best throw of my life. You just witnessed my career shot. All right.
Not bad.
That'll do it. All right, here we are in the best spot you could probably throw to on the hole, besides for Eagle's throw, but talk about that at a different time. I threw my envy just for you. I'm just kidding, I throw it all the time for everybody. Oh, that was such a cool flight. When you threw that, I was like, oh no, it's going left, and then it just like drifted right. Proxy. Can you enlighten us on like how you kind of got into disc golf and then what made you like fall in love with continuing to pursue it to obviously the level that you've made it to?
Yeah, so I got introduced to disc golf when I was 9 years old by one of my dad's friends, and he got us both into it at the same time. He was kind of nagging at us to come play frisbee golf, as we called it back then, and we played a few times. We thought it was cool, didn't really think anything too much of it, but I remember pretty vividly we went out to this one course and the guy was selling discs, so we bought some discs off of him and he told us how to throw a power grip and like reach across our chest, and we started throwing significantly farther than we were throwing, and then right then and there it kind of sparked the first love for disc golf, and everything snowballed. Got into our local leagues, got more and more competitive, and realized I kind of had a knack for it. And flash forward 17 years, here I am.
I think that's like a common thing is like the flight of the disc.
Right.
You know, like there's something with like the flight, whether it's the first time you threw it far or the whatever it might be. But I mean, that's what it was for me. It's like I came from baseball where you see something fly, and like motorsports where you see something, you're driving something.
Exactly.
But just the flight of the disc was just so like fascinating to me.
For sure.
So I don't think there's another sport where you're the lever. Like golf, you're like hitting it with a club. So you just have like your hand and the power grip and all that stuff matters so much.
Right.
But I think it's pretty fascinating at how much like you and I can control this disc.
Yeah, and
with just our hand. The
level of creativity in disc golf is
you could throw a roller on every hole if you wanted to. Story of my life. Missed low for 12 years straight.
In the tournament, this would probably be a layup, but not now.
Or just dead center. Were you saying tournament, it's a layup?
Yeah.
Really? Where did old Eagle go? I haven't seen Eagle in a while. Where did the old guy go that used to run it from 70 feet?
I never was that guy.
Yes, you were.
I don't think so.
Dude, I remember playing with you and watching you make more insane putts than anybody.
Have you played with Ricky Wysocki?
Yeah.
I mean, in 2016, like 2015, 2016, it was the most insane thing I've ever seen on the disc golf course.
When Ricky was putting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Well, that's how I feel
unreal.
about like 2015 Macbeth.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, I guess that no one's ever going to beat you again. Hey, y'all, thank you guys so much for joining the practice round with Eagle today. Head on over to my website, gibsondiscgolf.com. There's a bunch of merch on there, hats like this, there's discs, there's $65 mystery boxes for 5 premium discs, and you get 1 misprint disc. If you know, you know. Use code DREW on my website to get 30% off your first month subscription box. Thank you guys for joining the video. Let's get right back to it.
Easy if you want to throw forehand.
You're a forehand guy.
I am definitely turning back into one, and as much as that seems cool, I don't really like it.
As much as that seems cool.
Because before I had my injury, is like I relied on forehand.
Yeah.
For almost every shot.
Yeah, you threw it a lot.
And last year, I actually found like a good rhythm throwing backhands, and felt confident with my release. But now, like my backhand is not really where I want it to be, so I find myself leaning on forehands again.
Well, you have a formula, hey?
Yeah. Oh boy. Crushed it.
Yeah, that was a maximum ripper. It's so crazy how your sidearm, even when you were obviously like your full healthiness, it just looks like you always just like barely throw it, and it's like so good. I think that's long too. Wow, what a line.
I guess that's the shot.
So like training regimen, like to me you look really healthy. Healthiest I've maybe ever seen you look like strong, healthy. How do you kind of balance like your practice, your life, your disc golf, and like training to one, stay healthy,
Right.
but also to look good and be probably happy with yourself, you know, looking in the mirror, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, for example, this past off season, I had my surgery in October, but as soon as I was able to, which was around January, it's just I have a trainer back home that I
Okay.
see 4 to 5 times a week, and
Oh, wow.
I'd say since 2018, like I'm not pumping iron like Ezra,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I mean I'm primarily focused on keeping myself together because I know I throw really hard.
Yeah.
And if I'm not staying on top of that, then injuries are just waiting to happen for me. So it's
Yeah.
like, that's honestly my primary focus. Like today, I got here 45 minutes early just so I
Yeah.
could warm up.
yeah, and stretch and be ready to play.
And like, that's to promote my longevity in the sport, but also that I can actually feel like I'm ready to throw and perform as well.
I think that's an interesting thing because, like, for myself, for years, like, Yuli used to make fun of me because I would just go to the first tee and throw 500 feet, and he's like, "Dude, you didn't even warm up," and like, and I had surgery on my arm. Like, you know, it's like that
Yeah.
stuff catches up to you, you know.
Right.
And it's like being a dumb kid, which we both were, throwing as hard as we do, as hard as our bodies as we are. I think
Yeah.
it starts to like at one point it catches up where you know, 360, you know, sidearm, and all of a sudden it's like a 2-year injury.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you can't prevent that. Like accidents happen, but it's like kind of crazy how 1 second you're fine, and the next second you're like, oh, I can't. Like I couldn't feed myself with my right hand. You know,
Wow.
like my arm was that bad, so it's like holding my phone, holding this hurt. Like, and it's like 3 days before it hurt that bad, I was playing great disc golf fine, and then it's all of a sudden you're like, oh man, my arm doesn't work
Yeah.
anymore.
I
You know,
mean,
so
it's for disc golf, but also like just overall quality of
life. I
too.
mean, you're gonna
Yeah.
have kids one day.
Uh-huh.
You want to be able to play with them and throw a ball or do whatever, and it's like, you know, I think people forget that as well. That it's like people, you know, athletes take care of their body not only to perform well and win tournaments, but also it's like when you're 60, you don't want to be like having.
No, yeah, I don't want
you
to
know.
sacrifice myself just for my disc golf career. I want to be able to do a bunch of other stuff when I'm done with
mountain
disc golf.
bike or whatever it is. You know,
Yeah,
it's like you want to enjoy
exactly.
your life and not have disc golf
Yeah,
be
just all crooked.
Yeah, it's like no one wants to be crooked. Oh my.
I mean, there's definite times I just want to walk out of the car and play because, I mean, it's not that fun warming up a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's like repetitive, and you want to get out in the course and shred as soon as possible.
Hey y'all, head on over to infinitedisc.com to shop for all of your disc golf needs. Retrievers, discs, finish line discs, Eagle Mcmahon discs, whatever you want is on infinitedisc.com. Use code DGJune10 to save yourself 10% off. Thank you guys so much for joining the video. Let's jump right back into it. Oh, well again,
Warm up that goes into that.
go far and make standstill 60 footers.
I'm a jump putter now, so no more of those.
It's a pretty nice swing.
take that every single time.
So talking about like your style, like, you know, you're just kind of saying, oh, well, you know, the people on YouTube want to see me throw far.
Yeah.
Is that something like, did you try to throw far? Because I think what's most impressive about your game, especially a couple years ago when we were playing together more often, and I was seeing you more, is like your standstill putt that you had like developed. Like it just like feels like it goes up and down, and it's like so flat and like no wobble. Like it's so good. Like, did you try to develop something like that? Or that's just how your body naturally worked? Or did you try to throw far? Or were you, I mean, obviously you're built for, I mean, you're pretty tall and lanky, skinny, you know, so throwing far isn't, would be easier for you than most.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say my development as a disc golfer was definitely geared towards throwing far, just because that's the aspect of the game that, oh dang, I feel like I gravitated towards the most.
Yeah.
I mean, back when I started, there wasn't Jomez or anything. It was like Clash DVDs, Billy Crump, and
yeah, or
I mean, just seeing
Cubby, the guy that hit all those aces.
Right. Just like the best kind of disc golf coverage you got was just like a compilation with some jam band music video playing in the background.
Dude, don't talk about nonstop disc golf like that.
I loved it. I loved it. But I'd see those guys throw, and like it'd be me going to the field and trying to like mimic Dave Fehlberg, Avery Jenkins, and that's kind of how I like slowly developed my form. As there became more coverage in disc golf, I'd like tailor my game after Shoestrick, Macbeth, Wysocki, and I just kind of pulled from a bunch of different people and tried to develop my game after them. And at a certain point, I'm like, okay, it's time to just make my game my own, and start seeing success locally, and just built upon that, really. I'd say my game is kind of like, I'd say kind of tailored after like a Shoestrick, Macbeth style, if I had to pick. But honestly, it's morphed into my own thing at this point. So you kind of have to look at yourself and think, all right, I have long arms. You got to play to your strengths. Like one thing I'm always talking to my dad about is like certain holes I might take a big number on because I'm too aggressive, but at the same time, it's like you have to play aggressive if that's kind of what you're more geared towards, because if it goes your way, that's how you're going to really get a lot of momentum.
My dad always says that. You're too aggressive, you know, you need to like think more. And I'm like, yeah, but my aggression, like, and I told him, I was like, when I won Vegas because I was playing aggressive every hole, you weren't making fun of me.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's like, it's easy
you get praised when it goes your way.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you know, like that last hole at Vegas, you know, against Gannon, I threw it, you know, up towards the green on my drive, where it's like, if that goes in the water, I lose the tournament.
Right.
But it's like, the aggression I felt like is what made me win.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, people, it's easy to say, oh, you shouldn't do that when it's not working. But, you know, it's like, when it is working, but everyone's like, it's the coolest thing ever.
But it's also not really being aggressive. Like when you're in competition and you're in that flow state, you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And you know how your discs are flying. So when a shot may be perceived as aggressive, it makes total sense to you then and there.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, at my skill level, your skill level, like the aggression is perceived much different to people who can't or have never done it. You know,
Right.
It's like, so if you got in a car with an F1 driver, you'd probably think they're going to crash every single turn.
And
but like they're in full control, you know. So
Exactly.
It's like kind of one of those things that's like an odd opinion. If someone's like, oh, Eagle's too aggressive, it's like, well, your skill is just high enough where you can pull that off most of the time. Well, it wasn't too low.
It was aggressive.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I wasn't kidding about this whole 18 under thing from this guy.
18 under and a bogey.
Hey, do y'all want a bag that's this cool? Head on over to squatchdiscgolf.com to grab yours today. This is the Drew Gibson signature lore bag, but if you're not interested in this bag, or you carry too many discs, but you're still interested in a Squatch bag, use code DREW to save yourself on shipping costs on any non-signature bag on the Squatch website. Let's jump right back into the video. What's your most memorable moment?
My most memorable moment.
Positive, like a win or something good.
This is a question I always get, but my brain doesn't like think of things like that. Like I don't remember any particular moment. Like
Okay.
Obviously I can go back and think about great moments that have happened to me, but I would not say that one particular moment like stands out.
So when I
above
ask
the
you
rest.
like best disc golf achievement, like something doesn't pop in your head of like, oh, when I won Australian Open, or when I did whatever. Like it just is like, oh, you think of all of these things.
Generally speaking, like there are some that I definitely hold in higher regard to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But for example, like, yeah, European Open was an amazing achievement, but it wouldn't come to me like directly if you said that. Because for me, I don't want to put too much weight on a specific moment, because then I always feel like I'm living in the past of that.
Or you're like chasing that same moment.
Yes, because
again.
I'm the type of person that I think life's way more exciting if I think my best moment has yet to come. So I'm always chasing that, because if I'm just living in the past, then it's going to be really hard for me to be happy in the moment.
That makes sense. So do you have a moment that is not good, a loss, or something that sticks with you, something that motivates you?
When I lost to you.
No, that's your worst one?
It's up there.
Yeah.
I'd say you just said winning Australian Open. I lost Australian Open on the final hole. That was a pretty bad moment. Losing to you wasn't great.
That was a weird thing that happened to us. So I missed like that 10-footer on 16.
Yeah.
And then you missed like a 20-footer on 18.
Yeah.
And then did your roll.
And then roll. But like, do I wish those things didn't happen? Of course, but at the same time, it's like, that's the reason why I'm here now. Because like, I got really motivated after that last week. And I won BSF the following week.
Yeah.
So it's like, everything, I always think everything happens for a reason.
You've had a pretty good success we're in Oregon, obviously. You've had pretty good success here, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
What is do you know like the record off the top of your head?
I mean, I've won 3 BSFs and 1 Portland Open.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably my favorite city to play in the whole world.
Yeah, so I would assume explain why you're so good here. But Gannon's oddly said the same thing, because obviously I beat him in a playoff in Vegas. And he said, like, he's like, if I would have won, who knows where I'd be now? He's like, that motivated me so much to like lose in that, scenario that like it made me a better player. So to hear you say the same thing, it's like kind of interesting to hear like, oh yeah, I lost, but then like I won the next week because I was like so motivated. Like who knows if Gannon, I mean, this is what he said. I'm not talking for him, but he's like, who knows if I win USCDC or I win Masters Cup, like if I just win that, and he'd been the youngest 16-year-old, he was 16 years old to win a DGPT event, and he's still the youngest person ever to win, which is crazy to think about. Like how great you were. I mean, I was pretty good when I was that age. Like he's the youngest person to ever win.
It's unreal.
Like, and he's still going like this, but it's interesting to hear that like those moments, like you guys used it as a shaping moment, and not a discouraging moment.
I think for anybody who's watching this is like, the winners and losers mindset is pretty finite. You're not going to grow a lot from that. But if you can switch it to a winner and learner's mindset, that's where so much positive growth happens.
Well, that's what I think people don't realize is like this year I've had my worst year of my career by far. But it's like every week I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to like I was just telling you, hey, my upshots have been struggling. But it's like I'm trying to keep that in consideration when I'm playing and I'm practicing. Is like, okay, like you got to grind on this a little bit more. Like, is it coming out of your hand funny? Are you grip locking it? Like, is it your thought process? Like, there's a way to lose and learn versus lose and be discouraged.
But the thing is, like, even though you say it's not been your best year, it's also like you've never been this version of Drew Gibson before.
Yeah.
I've never been this version of myself before. Like, no man steps in the same river twice, because there's a constant state of change. It's like, to compare myself to how I used to be is not really a fair comparison, because like so much has changed.
Yeah.
It's like, I've had a surgery. You've had a surgery. It's like, I'm literally relearning my body. I'm learning new discs. So it's like, you should not compare.
Yeah.
Because
well,
you're
that's
only
been
gonna
something
make
that I
yourself...
think has plagued me this year. Is it's like, I was so used to, much like you, being towards the top more than, obviously we'd have bad weeks, but like, I feel like, if we're out of the top 20, it's like, whoa, kind of a bad week for us. And now it's like I've caught myself in 50 or 60th so many times, and I'm just like, but again, I'm comparing myself to 2016 or 2017, 18, 22, whatever, me. And like you said, it's not like I'm not the same person. I'm 40 pounds heavier. I'm a surgery down, like I'm 28 years old. I'm not 22 anymore. I mean, there's a lot of when I wake up in the morning, my back now hurts. I might pull my side fat or something. Who knows what's going on now? But yeah, it's interesting. Like, that's kind of like the Christian Tatar mindset, I feel like. Like Michael Jordan said, like, I never lost a basketball game. I just ran out of time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the buzzer, like, you lost. But, like, he felt as if, like, if the game kept going, he would have persevered and been able to, like, win the game. Where are we trying to go here? Over this green to the left? than have like a straight
I
shot
mean,
in?
honestly, the smart thing to do is probably lay up short of the bunkers, and then you
Just go right at the pin.
You have probably like a 350 approach over.
This is why this guy's won this tournament before, because he knows what he's doing. I just close my eyes and throw. I don't know if that's far enough. It'll be fine.
Like, your first intuition is just to throw it as far as you can.
When I look at this hole, my brain thinks like throw it into the road back there.
Right. That's what I want to do as well.
Like I just think like, okay, just throw it as hard as you can and hope for the best.
You can go pretty far left. I was trying to throw it on a hyzer. Maybe it's lucky and perfectly OB.
That is the middle of that bunker.
Yup.
You throw another one?
I should. Oh, that's not good. Ew.
So it seems like you employ a lot of like mental strategy, not only to disc golf, but to your life. So high stakes event coming down the stretch, obviously the pressure's on. Do you kind of have a strategy that you use to keep yourself calm, or do you just kind of live it by the moment, or what's kind of your thought process there? Because that conversation we just had really intrigued me as to like how Eagle thinks if, you're coming down the stretch.
I think there's different types of people. Like, obviously, let's just use
Me and you.
Kobe or Jordan, for example. It's like they have a full-on killer mentality. Like I feel like it's their eyes on the prize. It's like complete cutthroat mentality, and I love seeing that. But I don't think that necessarily fits who I am. For me, I feel much more comfortable if I'm able to center myself in the moment and just not look at scores and just think about being where my feet are, taking a deep breath, and just thinking of it as just any other shot, just so I can give my best opportunity, my best chance at executing in that very moment. And usually, I mean, that's given me good success because I can easily psych myself out. Like, of course I'm thinking about how bad I want to win. Like, if I birdie this hole, I'm gonna win. And there's definitely a little bit of that, but it's about me bringing myself back down to earth so I can actually slow my heartbeat down, feel a little bit more comfortable, so I'm able to execute that. So like for example, European Open, when Paul throws out of bounds, I'm like, my heart's beating so fast, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? I have strategies, I have breathing techniques that I can use to help bring myself down to a more parasympathetic state where I can actually take a deep breath and execute a shot and be in the moment. And just by doing that, it allows me to give myself confidence that moment that I have given myself the best chance, because there's been moments where I've maybe rushed it and I look back and like when I missed the putt at Portland Open, when Drew beat me, I remember that putt pretty vividly. I just wanted to throw it in there real quick, just because get it over with. But in retrospect, it's like if I would have taken my full 30 seconds and given myself a deep breath, and even if I missed it, I can quantify it a lot better because I know that I gave it my best effort in that very moment, rather than just throw it in there.
Yeah,
real quick.
I think that's one thing where like you're talking about this, and it reminds me a lot of like that Portland Open experience for me. We were on the second card, Simon, and there was a lead card or whatever, and I remember us playing, and I remember you and I obviously being close, shooting great rounds the whole day.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking like, okay, like the whole time I didn't really care what you and I were doing because I just had it in my head of like...
we were on chase card as well.
Chase card, yeah. So I was just thinking like, okay, like, yeah, sure, we're playing great, but like, we're not expecting them to shoot 6 under. Like they had us beat pretty good at this point.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. Eagle and I were battling maybe for second place, like if those other guys don't play well. And I remember when I missed that tiny little putt, I looked at scores right before that, and you and I were winning the tournament. Yeah. And I remember walking up there and going, oh crap, like what is going on? And I remember thinking too, like, how are we winning? Like, it's not like we played great, but it didn't resemble a round to me that was like, hey, you're going to come back from chase card and win. And
Right,
so I missed that
exactly.
little putt, and then I remember telling myself on 17's tee, I'm like, well, you got to do something amazing now. You know, like, you don't get to miss 10 footers and win Pro Tours very often.
Yeah.
But it's like that moment, I hadn't checked scores the whole entire round, and you and I were playing incredible rounds.
Right.
And then it's like, all of a sudden, I check scores and miss a 10 footer. You're like, okay, what? Like, I was my own worst enemy in that time. Like, you know, if I don't
sure.
know that we're like tied for the lead at that point, I don't think there's any nerves or any, it's just like, you just tap it in. You know, at that point, we had played so great. I mean, the whole tournament,
Right.
really.
I remember looking at scores, I think after you missed your putt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. I think I parred the 17,
Yeah.
which, I mean, that's a fairly easy birdie.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, if you go birdie par, if you just get one more birdie, you're gonna win.
Yeah.
And I went par,
Yeah.
which wasn't good enough.
Yeah, it's definitely weird though how your brain, like, you could psych yourself out by like just common information.
Oh yeah.
Huh. Oh. Two peas in a pod. Nice. I learned a lot from my first throw. So what's some of your go-to discs right now? Like what are you really liking? What I mean, when Simon left, I thought it was April Fool's, and then you left right after, and I really thought it was crazy. So what's some of your favorite discs?
Yeah, right now I'm putting with the Nomad, which is pretty different for me because I'm used to putting beadless, but I've been digging the Nomad for putting. I really love the Resistor, which is this fairway driver, 6.5 speed. It's like it's straight with a very consistent finish. Not a lot of glide, which is something that I really like because I can just snap it hard and flat and it'll basically do that. And then for my high speed stuff, I'm loving the Dimension. It's 14.5 speed, really wide rim, but I love the speed, and it's probably one of the longest flying discs that I've ever thrown. So those have been the ones that I've been really digging so far.
Okay, do you like, what kind of made you decide to leave? I know Simon's thing was like, you know, fresh start, you know. So what was your kind of, obviously, you know, don't expose too much, but
yeah.
You know, what was kind of your driving force or made you feel the way you felt to exit?
You know, there's definitely a bunch of different factors, and some are more personal than others, but I can mirror what Simon's original sentiment was, which was a fresh start, doing the same thing week in and week out, playing with the same discs. It can become a little bit boring,
yeah.
so to speak. And by switching up, throwing new plastic really changes your whole perspective on playing disc golf, and also on the more back end side of things, dealing with new people, having your manufacturer be located somewhere else, like all that kind of stuff makes disc golf feel really fresh again.
Okay.
And with MVP, I mean, they have over 80 discs in their lineup, and you know, Discmania was definitely a smaller lineup. So just having like so many different options, and somebody who's more or less a pretty big disc nerd, that's something really exciting for me
that's
as
definitely
well.
You, disc nerd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, I would say that's a main driving factor, and a lot of the discs, like before I even signed, I knew that there was a lot of stuff that I know I'd really like, and Discmania didn't really have that for me. So I feel like in that way I was looking to upgrade my equipment.
Yeah. So I mean, equipment, I mean, for us really matters. I mean, you know, whether it's more stable in the wind or, you know, more resistant, goes a little further. I mean, all of those things are good. So
it matters just in the technical sense, but also on the mental sense as well.
Yeah.
Like knowing that you have the right disc for the shot that you're throwing can improve your confidence leaps and bounds during a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, when I first went up in bag, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been on dynamic discs. I've been on Innova for 7 or 8 years, you know, so I only really thrown 2 companies. And I never really felt like I had like the best disc for every shot. You know, I didn't feel like I was lacking per se, but I knew like, okay, there's a better disc for this. And that first year I went open bag, I played like one of my better seasons. And I was like, every shot I stepped up to, I was like, oh, I have the best disc for this. And like, if I didn't, I could ask someone like, oh, hey, do you have an extra whatever I could borrow this week? Like, I'll give it back, you know, but like, I could use anything. So it opens up the door for you to be like, oh, wherever I am, I know that I can put the disc in my bag that fits this shape or this flight or no skip, extra skip, the best. And, you know,
it takes a variable out. Like you know that it's you, the one who's messing up rather than the disc.
Yeah, you know, it's like, it's definitely a weird thing to think about it like that, but it's definitely a positive from like a top player standpoint to be able to know, like, if you throw it bad, it's because you misreleased, not because the disc flipped or you know, you've thrown it for 1 week too long and now you know that disc beats up or that plastic beats up super fast. So definitely interesting way to look at it, and obviously we'll see how it pays off for you.
Yeah, so far I'm digging it.
Getting back into the swing of things here. Are you gonna make it?
I am not gonna make it.
Okay. That is a stable disc. So you've had to kind of deal with, obviously, injuries in the past, like both, I mean, just probably your finger splitting and then surgery. What's kind of something that you've done to mitigate that besides warming up? Is it, you know, you're trying to get stronger overall? You know, kind of what is goes into that? Do you put more lotion on your finger? You know, like how do you kind of feel about eliminating some of the injury variables?
I mean, I could give you an entire list, and I'll rattle off a few of them. Warming up, obviously.
No.
Making training a part of your, it's coming backwards.
I'm gonna catch it.
Daily routine, especially in the off season, like becoming friends with your trainer, becoming friends with your physical therapist, like all that stuff is going to play a huge factor, and diet as well. I was vegan for 10 years and basically vegetarian all my life. I mean, for the past 2 years, I've been eating a ton of meat. Like, Drew ran into me in a steakhouse in Illinois. So just really focusing on all different facets of your life, because it's all connected when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Like your mental state, your happiness, your diet, your movement patterns, like all that stuff is going to play a huge factor into disc golf. And that's the way I've kind of always thought about things. It's like, if one aspect of my life is a little out of balance, then it's going to probably show up in my disc golf game. Famously, there's this samurai, Miyamoto Musashi. It's like his thing is like, if he didn't do something how he felt like he should, it would show up in his sword fighting. So it's like he gave laser focus to every single aspect of his life in order to make his main craft as effective and as sharp as possible. And that's the way I try to think about my disc golf game. It's like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Yeah,
if you half-ass it, you're gonna half-ass your game and your diet and your...
And I'm definitely guilty of that still. Like, it's so hard to be perfect, but I'm just saying, like, that's the bar I strive to. And like, I have bad days, I have terrible days still, but it's like, how fast can I pull myself out of that rut? That's what
it makes sense to me. And like, so one of my other questions, I might as well ask it now, was like the whole vegan thing. Because when you first came on tour, I first met you, like, I'm not going to say your thing, but I mean, you were very openly vegan, promoted vegan, and, you know, whether you thought it was right or it was your dad or whatever it might be, who knows, who cares? Like, I know that was like very part of your brand is like Eagle vegan. Like, they went simultaneous. So far, his name's Eagle and he's vegan. And what kind of made you venture into meat? And then like, how were you, and like, how do you feel like obviously it's affected you from when you started eating steak or chicken to now? Yeah,
so like, I mean, I was basically raised vegetarian vegan like my entire life. So there's a lot of that going into the decision for a long period of time. And, you know, I genuinely believed in it for a long period of time, and I don't regret it by any means. But after just looking at different perspectives, I came to my own conclusion that it wasn't right for me. And like, I'm not going to get into like the politics of it, but, you know, I don't think it's the healthiest diet. And when I'm looking to improve myself as an athlete, I want to do what's going to give me the best opportunity to succeed. So that's,
As you
know,
should.
long story short, that's what made me make my decision to transition into eating meat and doing what I do now.
Was it weird at first?
It was a little weird, but steak's my favorite food now, so it's amazing.
That's me.
Uh-huh.
I like
I had
to
it for
eat
breakfast.
steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's
And I think
amazing.
your beard's coming in a little nicer now that you're eating meat too.
Oh yeah, I have to shave a lot now.
Ching. Okay. Oh. What a par 3 this is.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Almost.
That's that gyro technology just skipping out of the freaking 4-inch tall grass. I was thinking like you got to go like this way,
High.
like around the like
Yeah, I think so too.
thing. But if you want to get to the pin,
Almost.
but it's like I don't know. It's a weird shape.
There it is.
There you go. Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Holy Eagle, growth of the sport. Obviously, it's been growing crazy. I mean, especially since like COVID. What do you think is kind of necessary to keep the growth going, or continue like another big jump?
Ooh, controversial. I like it. So Simon talks about this, and in terms of viewership, like the more people who watch disc golf ultimately means the more people who are going to get into disc golf. I think we need to play courses like this, Glendevere, which are like really awe-inspiring courses, and go to beautiful places and learn how to film disc golf in a way that's most exciting for the viewer, because discs are meant to do crazy stuff that balls can't do. Hyzer flips, rollers, tomahawks, like showcasing the variety of disc golf. And that maybe means playing some courses that are easier, like going to a place like Lake Tahoe, like looking out over amazing scenery rather than playing courses in the woods where people just feel, if I didn't know what disc golf was and I looked at people playing Northwood Black, I'd be like, why are they just hitting trees all the time?
Yeah.
Why are they throwing plastic into trees? So like learning how to film disc golf in a way that piques the interest for the viewer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's like probably the best answer I've got for this question from any of the things. I think, people, like Rusko thinks it needs to be like on mainstream TV, which obviously yes, but like if it's not taking consideration like what you're saying, and people are watching it on mainstream TV, just us hit every tree at Northwood Black, then like, what good are we really doing? It's like we're showing them our sport, but we're not actually like showcasing our sport. Like, I think there's a difference in showing somebody something and like I could show someone one throw of yours where you hit the first tree and they'd be like, oh, cool. But if I show you rip a 800-foot roller there, or that shot where you parked it on that par 4, like you show someone that shot, they're gonna be like, wow, disc golf's cool. Versus showing a 100-foot up shot. So I'm like, oh,
right.
Okay, like that's like catch at the beach. Like I've done that, So I think it's less about like the actual like showing of the sport versus like making the sport look cool.
Because there's two different trains of thought. Like there's my train of thought, but then there's also like disc golf needs to have tighter OBs. It makes it more difficult because the players are getting so good. And while there's definitely a middle ground to be had. Like I think for me personally, I come from playing disc golf. I got into disc golf because it was fun and I really enjoyed seeing the disc fly. Like I probably wouldn't have loved disc golf that much if every shot I threw was out of bounds or hitting trees.
Well, in
so
this
like
shot right now, there's 66,000 white stakes marking OB.
I mean, like this is pretty fair. Like, does it need to be here? Probably not. But to each their own. Like, I appreciate the course designers like trying to push the envelope, grow disc golf, make it tougher. But at the same time, it's like we got to remember our roots, where we came from. We're throwing frisbees at trees. Like, I mean, throwing frisbees just for the love of the game, and that's kind of like what I like to think about when I think of disc golf.
Yeah, I think that's a really good take and like a really good way to look at it.
Thank you.
So hey, good job. Thumbs.
Oh my gosh, sneaky.
I think that's the best play if you hit it. Yeah.
If you did
You just
Tahoe,
want to be further right though. It's going right.
if Tahoe was the thing, would it be Bijou?
What's the other one called?
But
All right, this might be a one-word answer. Goals. What are they? The answer might be no.
No.
No goals.
No, my goals are, it may be a little cliche, but I just want to, it kind of wraps into one other question you asked me, like, what's your mindset out there? It's like, I'm trying to be the best version of Eagle that I can possibly be. And what that means is bringing my best to every tournament if possible. So that is my goal. I don't want to be result orientated. If great results come from that, then great. And yeah, just sticking to the process.
Okay, that's what I thought your answer would be.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote that question, I thought that you would like have worlds, whatever. But then after hearing your other things, that's why I kind of joked, okay, this might be a.
Because if I were to say worlds, if I don't achieve worlds, then like it's very easy for me to say that like I'm a failure in my own perspective, and I want to avoid that mentality.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes it like again. I prefaced the question with a joke, knowing kind of that your mindset was different than I had thought when I had wrote that.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, like I want to win a major, like that's my goal. Like as a professional, not age protected, and I didn't win any as a junior or an amateur.
Yeah.
It's like I don't care if it's European Open, whatever it is. Like that's my goal. And like I think that I want to like try until I don't. But like I think at the end of the day, like if I had to quit today, both my femurs broke in a car accident, I think I'd be happy with like where my career is. So like even though I want that as a goal, like to be, hey, I'm a major champion. Like I'm not. I guess I don't look at it as like if I don't do it, I'm a failure. I look at it as like, oh, I tried 60 times and lost 60 times. So I guess it's like a mentality thing. Like I want that as a goal because I like USCDC, for example. Like that tournament like gets me up. Like I think about that tournament tonight before I go to bed. Like I don't know what it is about that event, but like it's just in my head. And so for me, like if that happened in the major I won, like it would mean the world to me. But also like if I don't win it, I'm also gonna be like, well, I had 15 chances to win, didn't win, but like I got to go, I got to enjoy it. Like some people would never qualify for the USCGC. So I guess for me, it's less of like I do and it's great, and I don't and I'm a failure, as much as it's just like I try to have something to kind of strive for.
That's a good perspective. Like something that comes to me is like I've won 2 majors. I've won a bunch of Pro Tour events. And my thing is like, when is enough? Like, how many more do I need to win? Like even Paul.
Yeah.
It's like
Paul's
done it. It's like how many more does he need to win?
Yeah.
And it's like asking yourself, why do you want to win those? And for me, it's like my motive has always been to just be the best I can be in each and every situation, and that's provided me 2 majors and a bunch of Elite Series wins. So that's more of the way I think about it.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. And I've only won 2 Pro Tour events, so it's not like my accolade book isn't as thick as yours. So for me, I'll be happy, winning 1 major and like knowing like, hey, I won Pro Tour events, I won major events, and like I grew the sport, I made videos, I did my part, and like be happy with that.
Because the reality of it is like there's going to be, I mean, you got AB, but then there's people that you've never heard of that are going to win majors and majors, and ultimately we'll be forgotten about.
Macbeth won't be forgotten about.
I mean, he won't be forgotten about.
You don't forget about Macbeth. Ching, thank you guys so much. As always, if you made it this far in the video, pretty big time commitment. So we're appreciative of you listening to us blab about disc golf, your career, my blunders. But either way, if you made it this far, make sure to head on over to Infinite Discs, support Eagle, buy his discs. He has 4 discs coming out this year.
Yep.
So 3 more that no one knows about. I know, but I'm not the leaky leaker anymore, so don't worry, you guys aren't gonna know. But make sure to support Eagle, whether that's your favorite local retailer, Infinite Discs. And is there any company that supports you that you want to shout out?
Just MVP, Grip Equipment, Hawk Lab, all those guys help me out.
Where are these
And,
shoes? He says these shoes are
Vivo
super good.
Barefoot. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people that have been very good to me.
Awesome.
And I apologize if I'm blank on the name, but yeah, thank you, Drew, for having me on channel. I really enjoyed these like more long form conversations. You can kind of really see the player and like get an understanding of who they are and some of their opinions. So thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for being on the channel. I greatly
course.
appreciate your time. We'll see you in the next one.